welcome everyone to our Where to Wheelock. I'm so excited today. I have Bill Boswell, and he is in the KW Prosperity office in Northern Jersey, which I personally can't wait to learn about because I was telling him as kind of a joke, but truth. I feel like I only speak vertical. So I'm very excited to learn all about the suburbs and who's moving there, price points, etc. Bill, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, we're definitely going to speak horizontal for a couple of minutes, right? My name is Bill Boswell. I'm the operating principal of Keller Williams Prosperity in Wayne. I'm also a co-rainmaker alongside of my business partner, Ron Iosa, for a real estate sales team in New Jersey. We cover a really healthy part of New Jersey. I would say 7 years ago or so now, Ron and I put our heads together conceptually to create a very broad geographic base for our team, running essentially from Jersey City up to the farms in Sussex County. And we've been really successful at developing that over a long period of time. And man, has that come in handy here over the last 6-9 months, and just really allowing our team and our services to direct people to areas that they may not normally, know anything about. So that opens the door for a conversation like this to be really cool.
Yeah.
we got it all here. A little bit of everything. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So I know that you cover so many areas, but who's moving there? Who's moving to New Jersey?
It's a good question. So we're continuing to see quite a bit of activity from New York coming out, right? And before this year, that was something that wasn't steady for a while. I mean, if I go back quite a ways, we saw that migration pattern, but the last couple of years has been really quiet. I would say maybe June, July of this year, I would show my cell phone to people at the end of the day, and it was all your 917 area codes and stuff. I'm like, all right, yeah, this is coming back. So it was really interesting. Actually, I put a Facebook post on. If you go to my personal page and you scroll down to April, I put a post on when this all started happening, and I said, hey, do you think that these concerns about COVID are going to result in people starting to leave the city again? And I asked for people's comments, and, all the comments were, if you're a city person, you'll always be a city person. And I don't think people really understood the impact that COVID could have here. Certainly in the short term. We don't know how that's going to play out, right? In the long term. But the pattern of people coming out of the city has been really interesting, and the majority of them, I would say, are still focused on your Hudson, Bergen, and Essex County pockets, right? Montclair vicinity, deeper Bergen County, and then of course your Jersey City strip there up through Hoboken, and what ends up happening is, and this is something we've experienced in other strong markets, the buyer who would normally buy in those areas now comes out a little bit further. And even though we cover those areas, the main hub of our business is in that one step right outside of the city from those pockets that I just talked about. And man, have we seen an explosion. So we do get city direct, which I actually think we're a phenomenal option for. But we're also getting that surge of people who are normally looking for areas closer to the city, closer to train stations, who are like, listen, I'm not competing with what's happening there right now. So we're going to take a look a little bit further. One other thing that we have that's really unique is some lake communities, right? So we always have like these little resort style pockets within our market on some of the fringe areas, and we've actually seen city people leapfrog other areas to go straight to them. So I want to point that out too. There are some specific areas that are even further out that are seeing that Manhattan buyer target that direct. But, that's really been the charge in our market. This market got fired up early this spring because, coming into the year, I had a list of clients, right, who say, hey, I'm going to sell my house this year. And then COVID hits. Half of that list says, I'm gonna hold off, right? Let's see what happens. I don't want 1,000 people walking through my door. So you have the supply pushed down significantly, and then the demand starts to go up, right? So the demand of, people coming out of the city going up, the demand of the people normally looking in those areas right outside the city coming over. And then you throw interest rates as like the icing on the cake, and you find yourself in in a surging market. So it's been real interesting. And I will have to say that whether directly or indirectly, the Manhattan buyer is really what's influencing, this push, of course, with a little mixing in of interest rates there.
Yeah. Well, okay. So do you think that they're going to New Jersey? I mean, I would have to assume number one is for space, but what is that lifestyle change? Or are there certain areas that have a more similar lifestyle than New York? Because I do understand people that are thinking, okay, well, I could do my first purchase here in New York for $1 million, and maybe I can get the same size if I go out further for like $500,000. If I don't have the security in my life, why don't I go for the 500 and I can still get to the city easily? That I understand. But are there certain areas that you feel like they're flocking to so that they can keep more of their lifestyle? Or are these just people that you think are like, you know what, I've always wanted more space. Now's the time to get out of the city.
Yeah. So I think it's a great question, right? I feel like there's always more to it than what we see. So I think people, that gravitate toward the city, myself and my wife always said we would love to live in the city. It's just, there's a certain spirit there, right? And
I know a great real estate professional for you if you do, just telling.
I've heard. So every, before we had kids, we were in there every weekend, right? Soho was like just our spot. We go in, hang out, get a hotel room for the weekend. It was amazing. But I feel that COVID, so we go into not just the buyer, but what influences the buyer and then what the outcome of that is. So I think COVID has done something to society, and whether this is something that ends up being permanent or not, right? That's still up for debate. But because a lot of the public places where people gather, the social connectivity was removed for a period of time, it caused generations who normally didn't connect with things like nature, right, to now do that, right? You see people who never thought of hiking as something that could be recreational are now checking it out, right? People who have maybe spent the last 5-7 years in the city, and their idea of a deep breath of fresh air was Central Park. Well, now they come outside and they stare at a lake for a couple hours, and it does something to their soul really that they've never experienced before. And they're like, man, this is pretty cool, and this is different. So the question is, does the mindset of the buyer ever really shift from, I love to be in the city, right? This is the pace, this is the vibration that I love. And then for recreation, I go outside to those areas. Or do I like the vibration of what's going on out there, and yet I'm still close enough where if I wanted to, every weekend I can go and get my taste of the city. I can do my restaurants. I can hit my, Airbnbs, hotels if I want to spend the night. I might even pick up a little studio in there so that I can, park there for a weekend if I want. I know a couple of people who actually hold both so that they can experience both sides. And then connect them, families, kids with an experience outside that they normally would have never experienced being in the city. So when we ask that question, we say, okay, how does the lifestyle differ between the two, right? And out here, it is the latter of those two. So you have a lifestyle that's built around a lot of those
conveniences,
right? So those and the ability to connect with just about everything in a short period of time without being in it, right? So we can connect with the city in most of our market in 30, 45 minutes. We can connect with the beach in 45 minutes to an hour. We can connect with the farms, literally. Like if you want to see cows, there are real cows 20 minutes from here, right? You just go up, you're like, wow, this is amazing. I'll tell you a story. Remind me in a little bit about a farm, okay?
Writing it down.
All right. We have golf courses 20 minutes here that'll blow your mind, right? And these beautiful spas and everything that are set on them. You have these lake communities. You can rent boats. You can fish, you can hike. You have phenomenal restaurants still here. Yes, I know that's hard to believe coming out of the city, but I'm in an area where most people would say I'm in the sticks, right? In comparison to the city. I am just maybe 20, 25 max from Montclair, 25 in the other direction from Morristown. Ridgewood, maybe 30. I took my daughters to breakfast in Ridgewood the other morning, right? We're sitting out there on the side, everybody's walking by stores, and then you go get a nice, French bakery macaroon when you're done. So we can experience all that like this, right? Of course, it necessitates you having a car, but we can still experience all that. And yet, when I'm done with the day's work, or when I come home and I walk out my back door, I can look up, see the stars crystal clear, because there's no lights other than the lights around my pool, right? I can hit the hot tub and hear the sounds of nature on the outside, and not worry about anybody bothering me. Smell the fresh air. Not that the air's fresh in there, right? But it's a different experience. So if we ground ourselves there and then get that taste of the city, and I'm not talking anybody into leaving the city, please. But I'll
sell your place if you do. Fine.
All right, cool. What I am just saying is the difference of lifestyle is something now that most people didn't want to hear about before, but now that they were almost forced into it in some respects, they're welcoming it with open arms, and we're seeing people like, wow, this is really cool. And I can still be in the city in no time, whenever I want. So it's nice. It's a nice little change of pace.
That is really interesting. Just to kind of summarize what I heard you say, because I find this fascinating. It seems like people are moving out to New Jersey, where it maybe used to be their second home idea, where like, ooh, when I want a weekend off, I'll go there. But now, because of everything that's happening, taking care of themselves is the most important factor. And that's why they're now making this more of their primary home, as where people maybe used to have secondary homes in this area, or look at it as like my retirement area, something like that. But now it's just that mentality change.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think when we look at the mentality, we really start to see potential for future trends in real estate. So many people just look at the here and now without looking at the long-term impacts or the real whys, right? So it might be something that we see last a little longer than some people expect.
Yeah. Well, so I'm sure some people that are going to watch this are like, yep, I should probably go to New Jersey. But they're not quite ready to give up everything that Manhattan has to offer, just in terms of conveniences. Are there certain areas that are more like a little city, where they actually could get something in the center and like walk downstairs for a corner bagel shop, or get something other than pizza and sushi at night?
Right. Yeah, no, great question. So I have two answers for that. The first one is yes, right? So our office is in this huge, some people call it town, some people call it city, called Wayne, right? The reason I love this market, and it's like it's a hub for real estate, whether I'm playing in luxury real estate game or just regular residential, I can be in any major market like this. But we're surrounded by several towns that we would easily say is offering what you're talking about.
Okay.
Right. So Montclair being one of them. I'm sure most people, even in Manhattan, are aware of Montclair. Montclair is one of the few markets where, even before this happened, if I look at the higher price range in a Montclair and I look at where the buyers are coming from, there's a steady dose of Brooklyn, New York, Brooklyn, New York, New York, Queens. We will see that natural flow there. They have the train line that shoots right through. There's actually 2 train stations there. We have Morristown, which is on the other side. If we go in the other direction, about the same distance, which offers a little bit more of a spacious version of some city life. But, it's all built around a green, right? You have your bars, you have your restaurants, you got a really nice, even the most eclectic palate will enjoy food from all over there, right? Montclair delivers that too. And then Bergen County, you know, if we really look at Ridgewood, which is the closest to our area, bringing that as well, has the train station, has an amazing array of restaurants. You know, there's a park there in the middle too. And a lot of them are within walking distance from normal homes too. So you'd be able to do that. So that's the first answer, is that we do have these hybrid pockets that are still offering that the city-esque feel, but yet the suburban, you know, layout. And there are some other towns that are really starting to take a run at doing the same thing. You know, I mean, I'll give you an example. So there's a small town out here called Pompton Lakes, which has been really focused on redevelopment. If you go online and look at some of the redevelopment projects and stuff there, they've always had a little main street, right? But they have some builders that for the last, you know, half a decade have been focused on coming in and building some projects with, you know, luxury apartments with restaurants, you know, and stuff underneath. So we're watching that morph into an environment where people have more closer. But what COVID has done is allowed, and of course technology is, you know, given this an even bigger boost, but you know, your DoorDash, right? All of your ability to get these, even if you're home. If I scroll through my phone now, being in the sticks, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about my town in a little bit. I joke around about it being the sticks. It's nowhere near the sticks.
Yeah.
You know, a DoorDash will have restaurants that 9 months ago never existed, and people are like, oh my God, I mean, some great, you know, high-end steakhouses and stuff. They bring the food right to our door now. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Even if I was in the city, I'd at least have to go down the elevator, right, and walk a couple blocks. Maybe it's raining, maybe it's cold. Here, they bring it right to the door. So it's
Come on, they bring it to your buildings here.
I'm trying to pretend we're the only ones with technology out here. There's you know, it's a really nice push that we've received to allow these areas that felt like they were really spread out to all of a sudden have access to all this stuff that normally you would have to be in that kind of area to have. So people are experiencing that and really, you know, enjoying it. It's I think it's something that, you know, that'll continue to go in that direction too.
So I'm going to break this apart then. We spoke about, or three I want to touch back on: Montclair, Bergen, and Morris. Can you tell me, you know, like for somebody that's thinking about, okay, where to go, what are the maybe like average price points in these areas, and how far are they from the city? Because they all have train stops. So if someone was actually thinking about doing a reverse commute, if the day ever comes that things open up again, what are they looking at in those three areas?
Right. So that's a great question. I know I'm gonna flip this on you. You're probably not used to getting asked questions here, but I figure at a certain point I'm gonna share this with my circle too. So before I forget, or before somebody decides to maybe not listen to the whole thing, can you just take a minute and tell me a little bit about you, right? So that anybody from my circle watching this can know who I'm talking to and where in Manhattan, or who in Manhattan they should be talking to when it comes time for real estate.
I love it. Thank you so much, Bill. Yes, I'm Erin Wheelock, and I am a real estate professional here in Manhattan. I've been in the business for 9 years. I have a team, the Wheelock team here with Keller Williams, and primarily focus on Manhattan, a little bit of Brooklyn, and a little bit, maybe even a little bit less of Queens, just because our REBNY, we're not realtors here, works a little bit differently, so I work everything that REBNY touches. But I would love to help all of you with your buying or selling needs here in the city. Probably more sales because it's probably all going to Jersey.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you, though.
No, you got it. Thank you for that. I truth be told, I probably would have had to tell a million people that. So it saves me a lot of long-term energy. So thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so let's look at a couple of these pockets. So I told you we're in this town of Wayne, which is actually Passaic County. Wayne is like this unique hub, like I said before. Bergen County hits it. Morris County hits it. Essex County comes right underneath, right? So all of these different markets, and it's funny because they all have a little bit different heartbeat, right? A little bit different culture and vibe. They all kind of collide right around there. So within this town of Wayne, which is phenomenal, you have essentially every price point, right? I mean, you'll get up there million plus, right? That would be considered the luxury market. I have a magnificent lakefront right now that's being marketed actually by one of Franklin Lake's just phenomenal builders, which is a peninsula that goes out into the lake. This will be full new construction, as gorgeous as you can imagine. And that's going to come in at $3 million, right? This asking price.
Okay.
So a property like that can be super exclusive in the town. It's in a lake, Pines Lake, which people are throwing millions in left and right. It's actually amazing to watch. It's this little pocket of what I would say is beautiful affluence, and you go out the back door of these homes onto the lake, and it feels like you're in a totally different spot. And
is it gated?
It is not, but
okay.
We will talk about a gated community in a few minutes.
Okay.
So you have other parts of Wayne that are average sale price, 400,000-500,000, right? So it's got although that's super competitive right now. There's a portion of town that allows that. You have good school districts. That's one thing out here that a lot of these towns really focus on, right? Is the school district and making sure that they're delivering stellar education. When I do relocation and we bring people in and let them experience New Jersey, they can't believe it. You could ride a bike for 2 minutes and go through like 4 towns, right? So
really?
It's crazy. All these little municipalities, all have their own school district, their own, leadership, their own police departments, their own everything. So it's very different and changes quickly. But the majority of towns, in our pocket are very focused on the educational system. That's a driver in real estate value. Within that hub of Wayne, and people are going to get mad because I'm going to leave stuff out, but we only have so much time, right? There's a mall. There's a huge mall, Willowbrook. You have several other malls. I mean, 1 million strip malls. Highways. Route 80 goes right through the middle. 23 comes down. Route 46 cuts through every chain restaurant you can imagine. Some amazing restaurants too that are individually owned, many of which have ties to Manhattan chefs or were former chefs in Manhattan, came out for for that little more airy experience, and that tends to be just a center point, a focal point for at least the market that I serve. If we go out a little bit from there to Morris County,
I'm going to pause you. I'm so sorry, really quickly. Does Wayne have a train station?
So Wayne does have a train station. Yeah, it has. Park and ride. So some people choose to take the bus. There's a ton of busing coming in and out there. And from New Jersey, there's also bus lanes. So some people think of buses, right? And then they're like, I would never sit on a bus, right? I'm not going to deal with that. But sometimes the bus lanes can get in pretty quick if if everything else is blocked. They're not playing the traffic game. But there is also a train station there.
Okay.
There. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Morris County tends to offer a little more space, at least, I would say Morris County as a whole, but our side of Morris County, the one closer to Wayne here, starts to really spread out, right? So you get that suburban feel right bordering Wayne. There's a town called Pompton Plains, which I talked before about vibe and heartbeat. In a bad market, you can't find a house in this town. In a market like this, it's next to impossible. All the people who grow up there all want to come back, right? So they don't want to leave. So you already have supply like next to nothing. And then a whole bunch of people in the surrounding towns want to get in there because it's easy. You're close to every highway. You're super close to Wayne too. It's flat. It's a walking community, right? Everybody's walking everywhere. So you see, the people the kids are riding bikes. You drive by a house with a kid that plays sports. There's paws, painted on the driveway. There's signs everywhere. Go Johnny. It has a nice pulse, right? That a lot of people just connect with, and lower, some nice taxes that are appealing too. So that's one market. Then if you go, and this is the town that I live in, a little bit north in Morris County, there's a town called Kinnelon, which I personally believe is the best kept secret in the tri-state area. And I'll go down.
Kinnelon?
Yeah.
Kinnelon.
Kinnelon. It has the lake communities. It has plenty of that fresh air to breathe. You have a strong high-end market, right? So there's a good portion of high-end homes in town. They have a gated community. So here's where we go, gated community. And this is unique because not a lot of people know about this because they're not super crazy about, promoting it to the world. It's called Smoke Rise. There are 2 gates that have 24/7 security there. I believe there's somewhere around 950 homes in Smoke Rise. You go through these gates, you're on a different planet. The Smoke Rise community is really built around a lake called Lake Kinnelon. There is a beach there with, I don't know, 3-4 lifeguards, all summer long. You have boating there, sailboats going back and forth. It feels like you went on vacation, and this is where people live, right? They have their own restaurant there, sports bar, catering hall, fire department. There's a church there. There's a equestrian facility.
Grocery? So they have everything within this gate. Their grocery, their gas stations, everything is within this. It's like a whole gated city.
Yeah. So there's no groceries there. However,
Amazon.
Or we have Peapod, the grocery store in town will deliver it right to the house, right? So you don't even have to carry them in. Well, now you do, but before COVID, they could put it in your kitchen for you. There's also horse stables there, and that was actually just purchased privately. So you used to be able to keep your own horse there, but now there's days you go through and there's just somebody riding a horse down the side of the road. So it's such a complete twist of reality. Super peaceful. There are 0 streetlights there. Okay, so I say that people coming from Manhattan. I would say maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I sold a house in Smoke Rise to a couple from Manhattan. They came out of Times Square. And I don't know if it was the first night, the second night, but I talked to them and they were like, there's no lights. I can't see a thing. Like, this is scary. And I'm like, for someone who's used to that, if you tried to go to sleep in Times Square, you'd be like, oh my God. But they never really felt that darkness and that peace and quiet. And it's really funny. I would say probably 4 years later, they called me to resell that house, and they absolutely fell in love with it. They loved that peace and quiet. Now look.
Well, wait, what's the price point in that area too? Is it more expensive than to be in that area?
You have it all there too. So, you have your 500, 600s entry level.
Okay.
And then it, goes up into the couple million. I mean, there was a home on the lake last year, the year before, that closed, I believe, right around 2.5 million, and really needed to be gutted on the inside. But I mean, you had the most magnificent view of the lake. In the middle of this lake is a chapel with Tiffany stained glass that's lit up all night. So if you have a lake view, you're staring at this as like your background. It feels like you're in a movie. I'll tell you, in the heart of COVID, I was in there. I wanted to show somebody something. And I believe they ended up buying in there. But we went down to the beach, and it was, all the parents were sitting in the circle, right? Spaced out, of course, right? Some of them had a cocktail. I don't know if that's allowed in there or not. So I don't want the club office
disclosure.
Yeah. But all the kids were playing together. They got the jungle gym there, basketball courts. They have a tennis club. I didn't mention that either. So there's a tennis pro there all summer long. I think I said the sports bar, but the lodge has like an Aspen feel. So it is cool. And this is the kind of stuff we have in New Jersey that people don't know about.
No.
They like to keep it a little secret, but there's a lot of people in there, right, inside of Smoke Rise, who commute to the city for work. So it is a commutable distance, even on an everyday basis, never mind now that we're starting to see this transition. So
yeah. How far would that commute be from the city if someone was reverse commuting?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on traffic, right? So yeah. I live in Kinnelon. I was at a Knicks game a couple years ago. I was on the floor with a buddy of mine, and I looked at my clock. I left, and I was inside my door in Kinnelon in under an hour. And full disclosure,
Okay.
it was like 59 minutes because I was like, look, I did it in under an hour. Okay. And I think for that trip, I parked in Sea Caucus, right? Just pop the train out. Mind you, you come out, right there, Madison Square Garden.
Mm-hmm.
But there can be somewhere between, I would say, 50 minutes and, if there's traffic, it can reach over an hour there too. But I
Okay.
mean, it's close enough to where,
Yeah, it's not bad.
No, every weekend just for fun. I mean, look, there's times I'm in the city, especially when I drive, and it takes me an hour to get 5 blocks. So
Yeah.
say the
I've been there.
yeah, the mileage will pile up, but the time it's really convenient. And in that town, and there's several towns around it, right, that offer that kind of experience. To me, nothing quite like Kinnelon, with its lakes and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But to be in a place where you can feel that disconnected, but be minutes from everything, right, and still
Mm-hmm.
within an hour of the city is it's a pretty special place. So that's kind of what Morris County has to offer, right, coming in on this side
Okay.
of Morris County. And then we go on the other side of Wayne, if we're just looking at that as our hub.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Bergen County comes right up to the border. Now, I'm originally from Bergen County. I am still in love with Bergen County, right? I was really young when I left there, but my whole family was there, so we would still spend a lot of time there too. You have a town I mentioned before, a builder in Franklin Lakes, a builder out of Franklin Lakes who's building that property there in Wayne. By the way, the address of that property in Wayne is 19 Point Road. And it's Lenny Turi from L&L Builders is going to be spearheading that project. If you follow him on Instagram, he does some incredible work. But
what is his name again? I'm sorry.
Len, we call him Lenny Turi, Tury, of
Cool.
L&L Builders. So when we go out into Bergen County, the price point pushes up, right? So
Okay.
that's an immediate transition. We're getting close.
So,
go ahead.
Sorry. So for somebody thinking about where to move, why would they go to Bergen if it's more expensive over some of these other areas we've spoken about? What does Bergen offer?
Yeah, so Bergen County will offer a couple of things, some in alignment with the others, like great school districts in Bergen County. Some of the top ranked school districts are there. Again, I get back to culture, right? These towns have a heartbeat and a culture that drive people. So if we look at Franklin Lakes, which is, an absolutely extraordinary town. I mean, you have some historical sales up in the 7 million range, right? But the vibe there is a little closer to the city, right? So
Okay.
you get more people there. It's still a distance, right? So it's not like you're right next to the city. There are parts of Bergen County that are a stone throw to Manhattan. This is getting out there on the outskirts, but the connectivity and the availability of the restaurants, right? How close you are to Ridgewood. It has a refined environment, I guess is the best way that I can put it. If you just look at some indirect things, right? These are the things that some people take into consideration when making these decisions. So if you talk about the school district in Franklin Lakes, right, and the connections that someone makes just growing up in a town like a Franklin Lakes, right, a neighboring Whitehall is incredible too. It's a little more of a suburban feel than Franklin Lakes, and they actually share a school district along with one other town. But people tend to be attracted to success, right? And that's one of those towns that just has that ring. Real Housewives in New Jersey, right? A group of them are from out there. It's so funny. My cousin is out on the West Coast. He works for a big bank out there. And when we were first talking when that show came out. He's like, "Hey, how close are you to this Franklin Lakes place?" And I'm like, "It's right next door, right? I'm in there every day for work." So we do quite a bit of work in Franklin Lakes. Just had a recent sale in there, 2 million, which was new construction, about 8,000 square foot. So you can still get a ton more for your money there than you can in Manhattan. And I'll tell you, just the general environment as you get into Bergen County it's a different pulse, a different heartbeat. And a lot of people are just attracted to that. So I would say, if anybody, anybody in New York is really thinking of coming out, here's where I see the internet hurting us. And it's kind of counterintuitive, right? So we think the internet makes it so easy for us to research different towns and things like that. But it's actually, in my opinion, done a little bit of the opposite, because if someone has their mindset on a specific area, it allows them to search that without ever seeing anything else, right? So you can go on some of your consumer websites. Keller Williams has an incredible search tool now, right, through Command. The consumer's also on Zillow, on Trulia, and things like that. But if you put in a certain town and you put in a certain number of bedrooms, if a house has one less bedroom or is in a neighboring town but would be perfect for you, guess what? You don't see it. 25 years. Go ahead.
I'm saying that's why it's so important to be with the right agent that knows all these areas and can talk to you about it and ask you the right questions, right? Not just somebody that's like, okay, great, you want to see homes in this area, I'm going to show you, buy one. But that's like, no, let me learn about the lifestyle that you have and what your goals are to really pair you up with that right property.
Yeah, totally. And that's what used to happen, right? So 30 years ago, I didn't know it then. I was a baby, but you would walk into a real estate office and they get your wants and needs, and they'd be like, "Listen, I got this town. You're not going to believe this." A lot of agents now are actually afraid to do that because they're afraid that somebody's going to be like, "You're not listening to what I said, right? I want to be in this town." So the influence has kind of changed to where the buyer's doing it. So what we created years ago was this platform to allow people to get a little bit of it all. I mean, I was just on the phone with somebody today moving out of Woodridge, which is deeper Bergen County, and out to Basking Ridge, where we recently had a really nice closing out there too. And he's like, "Oh my God, you sold this house that I really wanted. I went to an estate sale." I mean, you're talking an hour and a half away, but this is the territory that we cover. And our goal is to connect the dots, right? So when someone comes in, we do a buyer consultation first, and especially people coming out of the city or even the parts of Jersey that are right along there. And we get a good feel of what they're looking for, and we can make these town recommendations. And I love people to experience it, right? Like, before you say, "Hey, this is where I want to go," not only just drive through, take an afternoon, right? Go eat on the sidewalk there, talk to people, see if people smile back. That's important, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've done that. I almost had a realtor from a totally different area that I almost sold on Smoke Rise by taking them out to dinner in the Smoke Rise club there. So you bring somebody in, it's nighttime. It was like I was karaoke night or something. I think that was the acts, but
I love it.
Yeah. It was a really cool experience that they had. So it allowed them to open their mind to something they never thought of.
Yeah. Well, and on that same note then, because obviously the whole process of buying is very different here than there. Are you an attorney state? How long does it take to close on a property? What do you have to put down if you're financing?
Yeah. So, this is the stuff we talk about that's not super fun, right? But I would say transactionally, it's really important because the way we do real estate here is much different than the way it's done in New York, our inspection times and stuff like that. So we are an attorney state. And I love attorneys, but that can create some challenges, right? So I know, when we take a state like Florida, their transaction process is bullet pointed. You don't miss a day. If you miss a day, you're in breach, right? Like this gets done, it gets hammered along. I know parts of Tennessee, you're closing a deal. I don't know right now in COVID, but 2 weeks beginning to end, you're done. That is not the case here. and it is a complicated process on paper to which, the formal clearing of each contingency along the way can get a little convoluted and sometimes clouded, right? So we always set those expectations with the potential buyer too. Anytime you include two attorneys and a million other people that are, this inspector, that inspector, it can get a little complicated, but it's well worth it. The average closing time, I would say right now, is coming in around 60 days, right?
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
It's not. There's a lot of moving parts in there. But I would say about 60 days. The most that I'm comfortable with ever recommending to people is 90. Once you go beyond 90, especially in today's world with rate locks and stuff like that, once those rate locks go away, you can find yourself paying a fortune just to extend it. And then if you wait to lock it in and the rates go up, who knows? That might fall through. People can get sick. Jobs can be lost. A lot can happen in that 3-month period. So we really like to keep that pressure down there. And then, the quickest we're seeing closings, if it's not cash, is really, 40, 45.
45 days. Okay.
In an easier market, we'll see some 30s pulled off. We work with some amazing lenders out here. But I think nationally too, the lenders they're spread thin, right? There's a lot going on, a lot jammed through in a part of the year where they're normally not. And the title companies are having a hard time sometimes getting into the county vaults for stuff because they're only open certain days a week. So the process itself can be a little longer right now, but the process is simple. I mean, you find a house you like, you put an offer in. One thing that makes New Jersey unique in comparison to some others is a period called attorney review. So once both parties agree, you go into attorney review. It's signed, right? So we get people, they tell their mom and their friends, oh my God, this is our house. And then 2 days later, they get a call, hey, someone outbid you. So in attorney review here, any party can essentially, and I'm not practicing law, so consult an attorney on what I'm about to say, but really any party can break any contract, any reason at any time, because the whole contract is subject to attorney review and every detail in it. And inspections are not done until after that review period is over, right? So parts of New York, it's the other way, which I wish we had here. So inspections are done because here you have a couple of rounds of stuff to get through instead of seeing that all up front. So you've negotiated, you're under contract, within 10, 14 days, you have your inspections. Now you can be in a new negotiation, right? And then they do the appraisal. Now, if there's an issue there, we can be in a new one. So there's a couple different pockets that go across. But it's make sure you align yourself with a good professional who knows the process well. There are a lot of moving parts, and aligning yourself with the right broker and the right team of attorney and mortgage broker as well can make this a really good experience for somebody. And then conversely, I think just like in New York, it could be a challenge if if all pieces aren't clicking on all cylinders there.
Yeah. And what is the typical down payment for a home?
Yeah. Honestly, it varies, right? So we see New Jersey, as I said, it changes market quickly, right? So even within some towns, you'll have areas of some towns that are in the, 400s, 500s range, and then 2 million plus. In one part of town, you might see some FHA loans, right, with 3.5% down. And as long as there's no issues with the property, from an inspection perspective, let's do it, right? I would say, right now, a lot of people, even people with some deep pockets, are choosing to put less down because interest rates are so low, right? Like take that cash, put it somewhere else, right? Or even improve the property. And then we have some other loans, VA. So we got a lot of veterans in our area, and they deserve every bit of this. Is that they have the option of purchasing with no money down. So
no money down. Yeah, that rule changed a lot. I mean, we don't see it quite as much here, more in the outer boroughs, but that was a huge change for them.
Yeah. So that's phenomenal. And then we tend to have, I said this before too, every one of these towns has their own police departments, right? So we have a lot of police officers in New Jersey. And the PBA rates, I think right now are around 1.5. Don't hold me to that. I'm not a mortgage broker, but I mean, you're talking insane, and that'll allow them a nice down payment too on the lower end. So, you know, we see some real eclectic financing all the way from super low down payments all the way through cash, right? It's not uncommon for, you know, in a multiple bid situation, someone to put down a cash offer too. So I would say, bring it on, right? Whatever somebody has, you know, we can find a good fit for, and depending, I used this word before in a different sense, but our market is super eclectic. There's so many different things going on that it would be wrong for me to say the majority of loans are this or that, because if you gave me a specific area, a specific town, I would be able to shed a little more light on that for you. So.
No problem. Well, it's good to know, though, that you do have some FHA loans, because every once in a while we will get people that talk about that here. And it's just when you're dealing with co-ops, it's just not going to be possible.
Sure.
So that's great. And I do want to be respectful of your time. However, I have to hear the farm story.
Oh, yeah, the farm story.
Do we have time for the farm story?
Yeah. And I'm drawing a blank on the name of this place. Everybody in the city should focus on this too. If I come up with the name here, or maybe after, I'll give you the name, and when you post it, you could say, hey, this is the name of it. So my wife likes to surprise me with cool things. One thing I love to do is eat, right? I love good food. I love good restaurants. When I travel, one of the main reasons I want to go there is just so I can try the different things. So she sets up this dinner to surprise me. So a couple days in advance, she said, hey, we're going to this dinner. It's actually outside on a farm. And I'm like, what? On a farm? So we drove, this is only about a half hour. We drove about a half hour north from where we're at. So you're probably in that hour and 15, hour and a half outside of the city.
Okay.
And you park on this farm, you walk, they have this beautiful covered area outside that's in the middle of the farm. There's a barn there that they move the tables in if it's bad weather.
Okay.
There is, and it doesn't feel, I mean, it's done right? So you have nice table, you know, everything's clean. So I don't want you to think you're like, you know, in some movie in the middle of God knows where. Prior to dinner, and everybody's got their wine, right? You bring your own. They do a little tour, right? So you go, you see the pigs. They have their own free range cattle there, which we didn't get to see. But these cattle, right? I want to say they're Scottish cattle that literally graze like all over. He says every couple of weeks one will escape, and like the town calls them. They're like, your cattle are out. So we eat this dinner, which was absolutely incredible. After each dish that came out, the chef would come out and explain what it was you just ate, where on the farm it came from, right? And just tell you a little bit about it. It was amazing. So after dinner, I actually liked it so much to have a little store there where you can go and buy some of their other stuff. I went, I bought some stuff and brought it back out, and we like just kept eating, right, from the store. So the owner of the restaurant comes out and he's talking to us, super nice guy. And he used to be a chef in the city. He used to live in the city.
Oh, cool.
And he said, from what I hear, he was really successful there. And he was just talking about how he's got a bunch of kids, and you know, something just turned for him. He wanted to be a little bit more, I guess, at peace with the environment and stuff. So they purchased this farm. The restaurant is open, I want to say 3 days a week. And then it's set dining. So it's just one dinner a night, right? Everybody comes at the same time. And then they do like one wedding a week there. And I said, well, are you gonna scale up, right? Like that's our mindset. You're gonna do more? He goes, no chance. He goes, every other day, it's just me and my family on this farm. We take care of everything. We take care of the animals. And he goes, that's the most I want to do. And in these moments, I get to deliver what I do best, which is cook amazing food. So I say that because that is an amazing example. And this just opened, right? Not too long ago.
Yeah.
An amazing example of just that transition, and the transition in the mindset too that you know, that's happening, and just one of the unique things, one of the many unique things that we have here in New Jersey, which you don't get all that often in Manhattan.
No, I get no free range cows wandering the streets of Manhattan. No, but honestly, that sounds amazing. And please do let us know what the name of that is, because I know some people I need to share it with, and I want to go. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
I love that.
awesome. It's something special, that's for sure. So I'll get you the name of
Awesome.
that. You can post that up.
Thanks. All right, well, listen, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I know that I have Bill on here, so you can go click on him, reach out to him if you have any questions. Reach out to me. I would love to do an introduction. Thank you so much for your time, because, again, I think with the vertical mind all the time when I'm talking about real estate. So this is fascinating, and I learned about so many places that I want to check out in New Jersey. You're making New Jersey seem cool. I used to shame you guys. I'm just kidding.
Hey, that's my job. We get a bad rap. You know, you land an airplane, sometimes it's like, all right, I'm not sure that I'm in love in New Jersey. You know, you get this smell down by the stadium, right? And I'm like, no. That is not the real New Jersey. We could sit here and talk for the next 5 hours. I'm telling you, this is how much we have to offer. When this is over, I'm going to have 50 people call me and be like, you didn't mention this. You didn't mention this. You said my town. You didn't say this. There's no way you can get through so much. And I do. I'm passionate about it. And, you know, that's also a big part of our business, right? We get to let people experience what it is that we experience every day. And I will tell you, too, that I'm still 100% in love with, you know, with the city. So I just think our part of the country, right, is this really unique pocket that, you know, that stands out from so many places where we truly have it all within an hour and a half. So yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Could not agree more. Well, thank you so much, Bill. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. And let me know where I should go next.
All right. Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Take care.